Welcome back to the Seasonal Tarot. My name is Kathy, and I've just done a 3-card pull here, and I thought I'd share it with you. I did it actually while I was uploading the last video, so I just thought I'd share this with you. So in the past position, we have the 6 of Cups. This is about balance, nostalgia, family, longing for the long forgotten, wanting to reconnect with our old self. Yeah, so this is the Avian Tarot, and it's a beautiful deck. It's based on the Rider-Waite. So I'm going to go ahead and read for you the 6 of Cups. The querent is nostalgic, looking at the past with positive emotions, reliving joy, living in the moment, and not having a care in the world. The person is open to lighthearted acts of playfulness, possibly reconnecting with childhood friends. It might also be a sign that reunions are on the horizon. The individual feels safe and secure and lets themselves just be. Thoughts are geared to reconnecting with one's inner child. The querent has now come to a place of peace and blissful contentment. It's time to move on, and the individual is ready and willing to continue forward. Memories of childhood and positive associations might also be prominent at this time. Reminiscing about positive elements of the past can bring about one's authenticity, which can also include the present and possible future. But negativity can also call out authenticity, as it is equally experienced with positivity. When the negative is acknowledged and worked through rather than against, positivity can result, and internal emotional balance is achieved. One can expect an increase of harmony in current and future relationships, as the individual will naturally begin to attract more positive influences. Past psychological wounds have mostly, if not entirely, healed. As a result, the flow of give and take in relationships is more likely to be equally distributed. The querent is more open-minded, loose, playful, and willing to experiment. Ultimately, the 6 of Cups is all about starting over and getting back on the right track. The eastern bluebird, and that's the birds that are depicted on this card. The eastern bluebird's natural habitat has been in decline for the past few decades. As a result, this avian now lives mostly in birdhouses supplied by humans. While the birdhouses are artificial, they have helped the bluebird to begin building back its population. Otherwise, they can be found within small flocks that roam in the wild. Despite experienced destruction to their natural habitat, the eastern bluebird has not only managed to hang on, but is also beginning to thrive again. So I think that's a really good point for anybody who's had troubled past, and in all honesty, who is not a human in today's society and hasn't had a troubled past. So the 6 of Cups was the card in the past position, and it denotes the eastern bluebird. The 10 of Wands is in the present position, and it is the secretary bird, and it is a completion of a cycle. 10 of Wands, so generally in the Rider-Waite, it denotes carrying burdens, laying them down. Just here, I'm just getting myself distracted. Let me find it here. 10 of Wands. Yeah. So generally in the Rider-Waite, it depicts somebody who has a whole bundle of sticks, and they're like slogging along trying to get there. This deck has a little bit lighter connotation. While it's based on the traditional Rider-Waite kind of storyline, it's not quite the same. So I'm going to go ahead and read it to you. Circumstance or chance has tasked the querent with either more responsibility or additional multiple duties. Hard work is required to stay on schedule, but the situation is temporary. Putting in the time now might benefit later when those extra tasks are completed. Burnout is quite possible, so self-care is required. When the Ten of Wands appears, it specifically requires the taking on of too much responsibility or unwarranted burdens. One must learn to choose what is necessary for personal growth and fulfillment of important goals. Typically, the individual is unaware that they are accepting more than they can handle. The querent tends to misinterpret dilemmas and stressors as testing character and pushing limits. When detrimental to one's health, it's time to step back and reevaluate. The first step toward gaining wisdom is to discard what is unnecessary in order to move forward. The secretary bird is a large terrestrial bird of prey with long legs and a crest of feathers. Its name was coined during the 18th century, referencing the clerks of the era, tucking their quill pens into their wigs. Native to Africa, they reside in open and short grasslands so they can easily see and catch prey. When resting, they occupy their giant's nests, often in acacia trees, probably butchered that, sorry, which they've built over many seasons. Recalling the Ten of Wands lessons of pacing, the secretary bird is aware that their nest will be built sturdily in due time. So it brings a bit more balance into the Ten of Swords. It's still there, but it kind of carries it a little bit deeper, so I like that interpretation. The Five of Swords in the future, this is conflict, change. Swords. This is an absolutely gorgeous deck, by the way. Go. Okay. So this is the Blue Jays. The Five of Swords embodies conflict. The querent is in continuous disagreements and competition with the need to always come out on top. This card might also point the querent just coming out of a scenario where conflict arose and now finds himself numbly withdrawing from the situation. They are disappointed, depressed, and upset over the case. The individual might not be entirely at fault and feels violated and distraught. If this person is at fault, relationships are becoming negative and are slowly being pushed away. Current relationships need to be mended before they deteriorate further. Disagreements and conflict have been at the center of one's recent life, or there is a possibility that they're occurring in the present or are going to happen in the near future. Specifically, the querent has a negative association with a particular individual. They might have gotten into an argument which resulted in a falling out. Sadness, grief, and tumultuous emotions are the aftermath. In hindsight, these are the things that one wishes could have been changed or taken back. But what's done is done. There's a tension within one or several relationships, either platonic or romantic. If compromise is not working and all other solutions have been unsuccessful, it is time to cut ties. Five of Swords might apply to one person taking more out of a relationship than they have put into it. This could prove to be toxic to both parties, and personal development could stagnate for each. While scary in the moment, one of the individuals must decide whether to continue the relationship or to disconnect entirely. Sometimes the only way to continue personal growth is to separate from those close to us. However, if the querent is the toxic person, the Five of Swords is urging humility. Reckless action and aberrant behaviors calls for self-reflection and setting priorities. When the toxic querent can focus on what it really matters and comes to their senses and sincerely accepts their wrongdoing, apologizing is the only course of action. It not only shows courage, but demonstrates responsibility for one's actions. However, if the other party responds negatively, it might be time to move on if the dynamics of the relationship continue to grow bitter. The blue jay is considered an aggressive bird and will typically mingle only with other blue jays. Their sociability evaporates when other species are present, as jays will attract them without hesitation. Sometimes a jay will go as far as to harass other birds for nests or steal their eggs for consumption. As for human contact, after birthing their young, a female jay will interpret any nearby presence of human as a threat and proceed to attack. Naturally, in the face of aggression, it would be wise for the querent to change direction and go the other way. One should not subject themselves to abuse. It would be common sense to move elsewhere. Be like the jay and choose your relationships wisely, sticking to like-minded companions. So I'm going to read another piece on the blue jay because it's a different interpretation in the Animal Speak book in a moment. But the chariot, the alpine swift, is the bottom of the deck and is the overarching feeling for this entire read, and it's all about movement. So if you go back to some of the previous readings where we're talking about healing and coming into the autumnal equinox, it's really having a good look at ourselves. And life is not perfect. We have the Six of Cups, you're longing for something, the Ten of Wands, and it's not easy. Life is not easy. We all carry burdens. Even if you look over the fence, the grass is not any greener there. People are people. And people will people. And this is, the blue jay speaks of that. And it comes to about if you're doing wrong to another person, then don't just say I'm sorry. Take actions to make a difference. And if the other person is not receiving that or understanding that, not respecting that, then it's time to move on. And if you can't respect somebody or they can't respect you, it just makes for bad relationship. And in today's society, we kind of need to take a deeper dive and maybe look at some of these aspects and contemplate them, because we're always busy scrolling or, not taking any time to really stop, think, and reflect. And things are moving and we want to change. It's one thing to say that, oh, it's their fault or we need to change this, but nobody's taking any action. So, and I say you, I'm including myself in this, we together as a society need to raise our own bars a little bit without stepping on anybody's toes or necks or whatever. So yeah, those are my 2 cents. Okay, we're going to read the overarching, this chariot. These are the Avian Tarot is just an absolutely beautiful deck. So, yeah. All right. The chariot, which is the alpine swift. Forward momentum and movement, advancement and personal power. Success in personal endeavors with sheer determination. The individual possesses a clear sense of direction and forges the path less traveled. The chariot marks the end of the first chapter within the hero's journey. Consider the first victory card of the 3 major victory cards within the major arcana. The hero has now attained the highest form of mastery within the material realm. They are adept at harnessing application, accepting the unknowns in life, perceptively expressing emotion, laying down foundations and committing to them, being a great resource for wisdom and immediate information, and making sound, mature decisions. Wouldn't that be nice? That sounds so idealistic, doesn't it? Okay. The Chariot card symbolizes great willpower, success, and continuous forward momentum. Everything is now at the hero's disposal. In the second chapter of the hero's journey, they will learn to carry themselves forward by continuing character development, emotional, psychological, and morally. The hero is now beginning their spiritual path. The Chariot must carry them through the rest of their journeys and challenges if they are to succeed not only in their day-to-day living, but in sustaining peace of mind. Acceptance and the ability to be flexible and to carry oneself forward will be the hero's foundation. Continual movement and momentum are the symbolic analogy which the Chariot card represents. The Alpine Swift is perfectly fit for continuous, if not an infinite amount of flight time. Effortlessly cutting across the boundless sky. The only time these birds come into contact with the earth is when they're born. When they breed during their 4th year and at their death at the average of the age of 6. Even during the most severe conditions, such as chilling cold weather, alpine embryos can survive. Think of a nugget of wisdom, a seed of thought. Like, wow. Okay, I'm going to start that paragraph again. Even during the most severe conditions, such as chillingly cold weather, alpine embryos can survive. Unlike other birds, alpine embryos can slow down their incubation when unattended by up to 4 or 5 days. Wow. Talk about stillness. When their parents return, the embryos then speed up the process to regular embryonic growth. So when their parents return, the embryos then speed up the process to regular embryonic growth. Think of the weekend and the days of the week. Wow. Truly, not only can the alpine swift act as an inspiration to continuous movement, but also as an example of conserving one's energies to preserve through the most difficult times. Wow. Okay, so again, that's the Avian Tarot, and I just want to touch points on the Blue Jay card, because Animal Speak is another fabulous spiritual book that I've had for decades, sad to say. And the blue jay is a magical bird. It's one of the feathers that I first found when I made my handmade drum 20 some odd years ago. And so I put that feather on my beater. Unfortunately, that beater is no longer with me because the cats at our old place had gotten it. So yeah. Okay, so I'm looking at the blue jay. Okay, sorry if I have to pause every now and again. I'm just kind of like getting older. Okay, the blue jay talks about the keynote is the proper use of power. The cycle of power is all year round. So the blue jay has long been thought of as a bully and a robber. And although it can have those tendencies, it has all other qualities that can make it stand out positively. For those to whom the jay comes as a totem, it can reflect lessons in using their own power properly. It can also reflect lessons in not allowing yourself to be placed in a position in which the power is misused against you. The word jay comes from the Latin Gaia, which has the associations to Mother Earth. In Greek mythology, the union of Mother Earth, Gaia, and Father Heaven, Uranus, results in the first creatures who had the appearance of life. This reflects much about the intrinsic power associated with the J. It has the ability to link the heavens and the earth and to access each for greater power. The black and white markings found on its blue wings also reflect its ability, the same ability. The sky blue separates the heavens white and the earth black. This is a totem that can move between both and tap the primal energies in either level. The J is aware of its innate ability, and this is reflected in its blue crest, higher knowledge that can be used. The main problem will be dabbling in both worlds, rather than becoming a true master of both. Those with J as a totem usually have a tremendous amount of ability, but can be scattered or is often not developed any more than is necessary to get by. It is not unusual to find individuals with blue jays as totems being dabblers, especially in the psychic and metaphysical field. They know a little bit about a lot of things, and they use the knowledge sometimes to give the impression that they know more, or that they are true masters. The bright blue crest of the J should always be a reminder that to wear the crown of the true mastership requires dedication, responsibility, and committed development in all things that are physical and the spiritual. The blue J is a reminder to follow through on all things, to not start something and then leave it dangling. The blue Jay reflects that a time of greater resourcefulness and adaptability is about to unfold. You're going to have ample opportunities to develop the use of your abilities. The Jay does not usually migrate, staying around all winter, so look for there to be ample time to develop and use your energies to access new levels. It will stay around and work with you as long as you need it. The blue jay is actually a member of the crow family, and most crows have no fear. Crows and jays alike will gang up to harass and drive off owls and hawks. The jay is fearless, and it is because of this that it can help you to connect with the deepest mysteries of earth and the greatest of the heavens. The blue jay is an excellent mimic with sharp eye and voice. It especially has a wonderful knack for imitating red-shouldered hawks. Old-time naturalists were convinced that the jay derived pleasure from this activity. As with all the members of its family, this sense of seeking pleasure, often at the expense of others, can reflect an imbalance. Sometimes jays show up when this is occurring in your own life. Jays have tremendous ability for survival with the least amount of effort. They reflect great talent, but that talent must be developed and utilized properly. If the jay has flown into your life, it indicates that you are moving into a time where you can begin to develop an innate royalty that is within you, or simply be a pretender to the throne. It all depends upon you. Jay has no qualms. It will teach you either direction. There you go. So that was a quick little snippet. I thought I'd share it with you because I found it very profound, and I appreciate you being here. Lots of love to you on this Sunday afternoon. And if it's another day of the week while you're here, great. Thanks. Take care. I hope to see you again. Bye-bye.